when you imagine a dorm room, what do you think of? Probably something tiny, cramped, and of course you gotta deal with other people living in your room. I mean, my dorm right here, I can practically like touch both sides of the wall. These things, they're really constricting if you want to build a hi-fi system, and especially if you're on a tight budget. But of course, we all want that great loudspeaker stereo system. So today I'm going to show you how you can get around the constraints of living in a dorm room or any small living space and build the perfect audio setup for you. And the best part, it's going to be affordable. I'm going to be showing off my setup, and throughout the video, I'll show off budget alternatives to my components, and they're going to be just as good for a fraction of the cost. All right, so you might be thinking to yourself, right? I should just go with like headphones or IEMs, but they're not always the best solution, right? I mean, if we're being honest, loudspeakers are just more fun. They make you feel the music. The great thing about loudspeakers is that you can upgrade different components in your system as you go along. So let's say you move to a bigger place, or eventually you get your own home. You can get bigger speakers and then get a bigger amplifier, and you don't have to upgrade everything all at once. So let's start off and dive into my system. All right, so pretty much the most important part to the sound of your system is going to be the speakers. These are my speakers. They're the Sony SS-CS5s. These are great sounding speakers, especially for near field listening, which is what you're going to be doing like on a desk, or I mean any dorm setup. It's going to be the speakers are going to be pretty close to your ears. So these have 3 drivers. They have a woofer, a tweeter, and a super tweeter for the really high frequencies. Now, if you drive these guys with a good enough amplifier, which I'll show you what I'm using later, it really feels like there's a concert going on at your desk, and the singer's voice is just like hovering in the air, and it's a little jarring at first, but it's an amazing experience. And the great thing about these speakers, especially for a dorm situation, is that even when they're playing quiet, they sound really good. And so, if your RA is really strict, I mean, mine's right on the other side of this thin wall. So a lot of the times, I mean, especially like at night, if I want to listen to my speakers, I have to have them quiet. Now, when I got my pair, they were only $100, but nowadays it's hard to even find that price used. If you're willing to pay, you can get these speakers in a bundle with like some speaker wire, or I think they sell them with isolation pads, and those are around $280 on Amazon. Or if you want to get them used on Amazon, it's about $216. Sites like eBay will have different prices, but it's all kind of close. Now, if you're on a tighter budget, you can still get some great sound. Here are the Numi BS5s. They sell new on Amazon for $140 US. And I will say, when you're on a tight budget and you're shopping for speakers, it's a really good idea to check out the used market. It takes a little bit more research, but here's a good example of something that you can find fairly easily. These are the Boston Acoustic CR67s, and they need a little bit of cleaning, but they should work perfectly fine on any desk. They're $85. Whatever speakers you get, you're going to need something to drive them. In my system, that's the compact, powerful Fosi Audio BT20A Max. This is a new release. I did a review on it. You should check that out. But this is what's going to be powering our system. It comes out to about $250 or $230 if you opt for the slightly less powerful version with a different power supply. What's really nice about this is that it has a Bluetooth, so you can easily switch between like playing music on your phone, a movie on your laptop, or whatever you want. It's really convenient. It also has 2 RCA ports. So let's say you have like a record player, a CD player. You can have those already plugged in, and when you want to play from those and switch around, you don't have to mess with any of the wires. You can just change the mode on your remote. So a huge benefit of this amp is its great support for a subwoofer. It has a dedicated output for one, as well as a high pass filter. This is great for future upgrades, as bookshelf speakers kind of need a subwoofer if they're going to be playing loud, especially in bigger rooms. For now, however, the bookshelf speakers will be perfectly fine by themselves. Unless, of course, you want the ultimate dorm room setup. Now, for the budget amp, we actually have 2 options. One is for those that are considering a subwoofer, and one is for those that aren't. Both of these amps sacrifice some aesthetics, in my opinion, but they still maintain the nice compact size and the convenience of Bluetooth. Those of you that are happy with just speakers would do great with the Fosi Audio BT20A, not BT20A Max, and the BT20A comes out to $80. The second budget option is for those who do want to, or at least considering upgrading to a subwoofer in the future, and are willing to have less power for their speakers as a trade-off. That's the Fosi Audio BT30D receiver, and it goes for about $109 on Amazon. Now comes the coolest part of any setup. We have the Klipsch R120SW, which is a 12-inch powered subwoofer. So as you can see, this is going to be great for any dorm setup. It's going to shake the room. You just got to be careful with it to not annoy anyone too much. And what's great about that subwoofer is that it has this Bluetooth transmitter type thing, and you can just plug this into the back of your amplifier, and then you can have your subwoofer plugged in somewhere else. So for a dorm, this is really useful because maybe there's not room to put it right next to your amplifier. Maybe you need to put it under your bed or like on top of your roommate's desk, you know. So this subwoofer comes out to about $250. Now, you can still get some room-shaking bass for a lot less money. Maybe, you know, bass isn't as much of a priority, or, you know, you're just on a little tighter budget. You can get the Dayton Audio Sub 800 for $150, and it'll be more than enough to fill up any dorm room. All right, so let's tally up the costs for the different systems. For all these products, there are going to be links in the description below if you want to check them out, and let's get into it. All right, so for the ultimate dorm room setup with the Fosi BT20A Max, the Sony SSCS5s, and the big old Klipsch subwoofer, it's going to be about $700. Now, $700 is a lot for like a starting stereo system. So if you still want to keep that subwoofer, you can get the Fosi BT30D, and you can get the Numi speakers, or you can look at the used marketplace, and that system will be about $400. Or if you get the used speakers and you spend about $80 on those, it'll be about $350. Now, for the budget setup without a subwoofer, you'll be looking at about $165. So way under $200, and it's something that's still going to be a killer system. That's going to be the normal Fosi BT20A with some $80 used speakers. Those Boston CR67s would be absolutely amazing. And they would still get more than loud enough to just absolutely fill the room. So really, any path you choose here, any budget, whether it's $170, $400, $350, or the full like $700, you're going to be completely satisfied with the sound of your system. I guarantee it. All these products are linked in the description below, and feel free to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. This is still a really small channel, as you can probably see, so I'm more than available to answer any questions you might have. Thank you for watching.